are you today? Good afternoon. This is the presentation of Group 3 about frameworks behind moral disposition. The first topic that we are going to discuss is all about a virtue ethics of Aristotle.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Alex Naling and I will present is all about telos. So from the word telos, it is an ancient Greek, simply means function, purpose, or end. This philosophy was all about the main purpose or function of something or anything. Dito natin matutunan kung ano ba yung mga purpose o function ng mga bagay-bagay sa mundo. At pwede rin natin siyang i-apply para sa sarili natin. For example, tayo po mga estudyante, we have a lot of desires, di ba? We have a lot of expectation na gusto nating maging totoo. Ang dami nating gustong gawin, but what is our purpose bilang isang estudyante? Hindi ba is to get the diploma or makapagtapos tayo ng college o di kaya naman makapagpatayo tayo ng sarili nating mga negosyo? That is our purpose o yung tinatawag na telos. Kumbaga, kung ano yung magiging kahihinatnan nito sa dulo ng mga bagay-bagay. Another example, sa mga sasakyan, no matter what brand it is, hindi ba may iba't ibang uri ng sasakyan? But they are same function, which is to drive. So doon pa lang, mafi-figure out na natin kung ano yung mga purpose ng isang sasakyan o kung ano ba yung function nito. Kumbaga, madali natin siyang ma-identify sa unang tingin pa lang natin.
Good day everyone, I am Giselle Manahan and I am going to discuss a virtue as habit. But before that, I am going to tackle first what is virtue is all about. Virtues are attitude, disposition or character traits that enable us to be and to act in ways that develop a potential. Honesty, courage, compassion, generosity, fidelity, integrity, fairness, self-control, and prudence are all the example of virtues. Virtues are habits because once they are acquired, they become characteristics of a person. For example, a person who has developed the virtue of generosity is often referred to as a generous person, because he or she tend to be generous in all circumstance. Parang in this case, kapag nakikita ka ng ibang tao na palagi kang tumutulong or nagiging habit mo na yun, ang magiging tingin nila sa iyo ay matulungin kang tao, mabait kang tao, at madali kang malapitan. Kapag paulit-ulit nating nagagawa ang magagandang pag-uugali, nagiging habit na rin natin siya. And kapag hindi naman natin nagagawa ang mga bagay na magaganda na makakatulong naman sa ibang tao, parang mararamdaman natin yung konsensya. Kasi nga, habit na natin gawin yun, nasa puso na natin. According to Aristotle quotes, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Excellence is something that develops over time by doing simple, basic things over and over again until it became a habit. Excellence is embodied in the phrase, don't practice until you get it right, practice until you can get it wrong. Parang wag mong siyang praktisin para makuha mo kung ano yung tama. Praktisin mo siya hanggang sa hindi ka nagkakamali kasi dun mo makukuha yung tamang yung tamang gusto mong makuha. Hence, there is a saying that do good is to feel good. Thank you. Hi everyone, I am Giselle Manahan and I am going to discuss a happiness as virtue. According to Aristotle, happiness consists in achieving through the course of a whole lifetime all the goods, health, wealth, knowledge, friends, and etc. that lead to the perfection of human nature and to the enrichment of human life. Happiness comes from the perfect practice of virtue. Parang makakamit natin yung happiness na gusto nating maramdaman kapag puro mabuti yung ating ginagawa. Like for example, tinutulungan mo yung ale na humihingi ng tulong. Kusa mong mararamdaman yung happiness na yon kasi nga sa puso mo napupuno ka ng pagmamahal na tumulong sa ibang tao kaysa iwan mo yung matanda na humihingi ng tulong at hindi mo siya tinulungan. Parang mararamdaman mo na may kulang sa sarili mo. Sabi ni Aristotle na happiness is consist of achieving through the course of a whole lifetime all the goods, health, wealth, knowledge, friends, and etc. that lead to the perfection of human nature and to the enrichment of human life. In this statement, mas makakamit natin yung happiness sa taong nakapaligid sa atin like family, friends, dahil comfortable naman tayo sa mga nakakasama natin, kusa nating mararamdaman yung happiness na yon kasi nga part naman na rin siya ng buhay natin. According to his quotation, happiness is the meaning and purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence. For him, the most of his contemporaries' happiness referred not to an emotion, but the long-term pattern of action, the sum of which was our moral character. It is the habit of virtue that are acquired over years of exercising the appropriate value. Kapag maganda yung ugali mo o maganda always yung napapakita mo sa tao, mararamdaman mo yung happiness na yon kasi buo ka. Buo yung sarili mo na sa mga virtues na magaganda, buo yung sarili mo na gumawa ka ng maganda sa ibang tao. Thank you. Saint Thomas Natural Law.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Jonas Moreno Mongcal and I will discuss about natural law. Natural law is a theory in ethics and philosophy that says that human beings possess intrinsic values that govern our reasoning and behavior. Natural law maintains that these rules of right and wrong are inherent in people and not created by society or court judges. The paradigmatic natural law views hold that the natural law is given by God. It is natural, altruive over all human beings. It is naturally knowable by all human beings. It is held that the good is prior to the right. Right action is action that responds non-defectively to the God. That there are a variety of ways in which action can be defected with respect to the good, and that some of these ways can be captured and formulated as general rules. The first example of natural law includes that idea that is universally accepted and understood that killing a human being is wrong. However, it is also universally accepted that punishing someone for killing that person is right. The idea demonstrates that without the requirement of legislation, such beliefs are something that human beings understand inherently as law, without the requirement of law. The second example includes the idea that two people create a child and they then become the parents and natural caregivers for the child. It is something that natural law theory would explain as natural law because it is inherent within human beings. And any human-made law would not be required for humans to feel as true they need to act as the caregiver of their child. Natural law is important because it is applied to moral, political, and ethical systems. It has played a large role in history of political and philosophical theory and has been used to understand and discuss human nature.
Hi, I am Erisel Maria Ivira Mal. My report for today is all about happiness as constitutive of moral and cardinal virtue. Happiness in the classical sense of eudaimonia, meaning to lead a good and virtuous life, from Greek and Roman philosophy and later expanded upon by Christian thinkers like St. Augustine and St. Thomas Aquinas, who taught that the happy life is the blessed life found in God, who is truth and love. Basically, virtue is habitual and firm disposition toward doing what is right and good, seeking excellence of personal protection so as to govern one's actions and be the master of one's desires. Principles among the virtue are prudence, temperance, justice, and fortitude. In that all other manifestation of good human activity in some way hinge upon these four cardinal virtue, which are knowledge by human nature. So, ang eudaimonia ay mula sa pilosopiya ng Greek at Roman. Ito ay happiness na nangangahulugang pamumuhay ng mabuti at banal na buhay. Pinalawak ng mga Kristiyano nag-iisip tulad ni St. Augustine at St. Thomas. Sila ang mga nagturo na ang masayang buhay na matatagpuan lamang sa Diyos o makakamit natin ang tinatawag na happiness kapag nasa tabi tayo ng Diyos. Nagpapakatotoo tayo sa ating sarili, nasasabi natin ang katotohanan at naipaparamdam natin ang pagmamahal sa ibang tao. Ang cardinal virtue naman ay makakamit natin kapag maayos tayo nakikibagay sa ibang tao. Nagkakaroon tayo ng happy life kung mayroon tayong pagmamahal at mayroon tayong positive mind. All situations involve the four cardinal virtue: temperance, fortitude, prudence, and justice. These virtues are regarded by many philosophers to be the basis for living a good and righteous life. If a person wants to be happy, it is suggested that they develop this virtue. For example, kapag tayo ay nakakaranas ng problema, pumapasok agad sa ating isip na lumapit kay God. Sa pamamagitan nun, napapalitan ng happiness ang puso natin at minsan pa nga ay napapalitan ng saya ang mga lungkot kapag meron tayong connection sa Kanya. Si St. Thomas ay naniniwala din na we can never achieve the complete happiness consist in supernatural union with God.
Kant and Right Jurist.
Immanuel Kant was a German philosopher and one of the foremost thinkers of the Enlightenment. His comprehensive and systematic work in epistemology, the theory of knowledge, ethics, and aesthetics greatly influenced all subsequent philosophy, especially the various schools of Kahanism and Idealism.
Hi, I am Erisel Maria Ivy Ramal. The topic that I will discuss is goodwill. Goodwill means act out of sense of moral obligation or duty. Kant indicates that a goodwill is a good without qualification, in the sense that it is an absolute good and of its universally good in all circumstances, and never just a good for some other purpose. According to him, the only thing that is completely good is goodwill, and one must have a goodwill in order to carry out a moral deed. Kant believes that we should esteem goodwill unrestrictedly. Goodwill, according to Kant, would shine like a jewel for its own sake, as something that has its whole value in itself. So, it is a positive attitude that every human being should acquire. Good values must be noted and shown not only for words, but most in action. Carry all things in this world, manifested goodwill act, give concern all. Things around the earth is a sense of giving way the status of goodwill. Yung goodwill naman na according kay Kant na would shine like a jewel for its own sake as a something that has its whole value in itself. It ay if you give care, give love and value to others, it will come back as what you did. In short, if you give things to others, others will give you all things also. Sa makatuwid, ito ay pagiging mabait natin ng walang kwalifikasyon. Katulad ng moral obligation, bukod sa pagiging mabait, kahit di sabihin na ibang tao, parang will mo na o ugali mo na maging mabait sa kanila.
Magandang araw, ako si Jessa Saleta Perez at ang report ko ay tungkol sa categorical imperative. Categorical imperative, founder of critical philosophy, a rule of conduct that is unconditional or absolute for all agents, the validity or claim of which does not depend on any desire or end. The categorical imperative is the idea that you do something because it is your moral command and you are told to do them and they are not dependent on anything else. Kant said it will show if an action is being judged with pure reason. Categorical imperative. Dapat tayong kumilos sa isang paraan na magagawa natin ayon sa kung saan tayo kumikilos upang maging isang pangkalahatang batas. Ang kategoryang kinakailangan ay isang bagay na dapat gawin ng isang tao anuman ang pangyayari. Ito ay kinakailangan sa isang ethical na tao na gumawa sila ng mga pagpipilian batay sa kategorya na kinakailangan. Ang isa pang paraan ng pagsasabi nito ay ang isang ethical na tao na sumusunod sa isang pangkalahatang batas anuman ang kanilang sitwasyon. Halimbawa, gawin mo ang iyong tungkulin alang-alang sa tungkulin. Dito, ito ay yung may pagkilos sa ngalan ng tungkulin. Ginagawa ng tao ang mabuti, hindi dahil sa kasiyahang matatamo dito, kundi dahil ito ang nararapat na gawin. Categorical imperative, dito inaasahan na dapat mangingibabaw ang paggalang sa bawat isa. Pagtrato ayon sa kanilang pagkatao bilang taong may dignidad, hindi lamang bilang isang kasangkapan kundi bilang isang layunin mismo. Ito din ang naging batayan ng karapatang pantao. Ang paggalang sa dignidad ng tao ay ang pagbibigay halaga sa kanya bilang isang rasyonal na individual. Halimbawa, alam niya na mahigpit na ipinagbabawal ng kanyang ama ang pamamalagi sa labas lalo na kung gabi na. Ngunit naisip ni Kyle na kung tatanggihan niya ang kaniyang mga kaibigan, maaaring magtatampo sa kanya ang mga ito at hindi na siya iimbitahan pa sa alinmang lakad. Bilang si Kyle, susundin natin ang sasabihin ng ating tatay dahil para din naman iyon sa ating kaligtasan. At may ibang araw pa naman para tayo yayain ng ating mga kaibigan. At kung totoo silang kaibigan, may intindihan nila ang sitwasyon ni Kyle o sitwasyon natin kung bakit hindi tayo pinayagan noong tayo ay iniimbitahan sa kanilang lakad.
Different kinds of rights.
I'm Sheila May Feryul Malupa, and I'm the one to discuss the different kinds of rights. We have two different kinds of rights. Number one is moral rights. Moral rights are based on human consciousness. They are supported by moral force of human mind. They are based on human sense of goodness and justice. These are not assisted by the force of law, since of the goodness and public opinion are the sanction behind moral rights. Ang moral na ito ay batay sa kamalayan ng tao. Ito yung moral na pwersa na pag-iisip ng tao, batay din ito sa kabutihan at hustisya ng tao. Ito ay hindi tinutulungan ng lakas ng batas. Ang pakiramdam ng kabutihan at opinyon ng publiko ay ang parusa sa likod ng mga karapatang moral. If any person disrupts any moral rights, no legal action can be taken against him. The state does not enforce these rights. Its courts do not recognize these rights. Moral rights includes rules of good conduct and courtesy, and moral behavior. This stands for moral perfection of the people. Moral rights were first acknowledged in France and Germany before they were included in the Berne Convention for the Protection of Literacy and Artistic Works in 1928. In Canada, recognized moral rights in its Copyright Act. The United States became a signatory to the convention in 1989 and incorporated a version of moral rights under its copyright law under Title 17 of the U.S. Code. There are two major moral rights under the U.S. Copyright Act. These are the right of attribution, also called the right of paternity and right of integrity. The example of moral right is the right to liberty and freedom, the right to the pursuit of happiness, and the right to live your life free of discrimination, the right to control what happens to your own body and to make medical decision for yourself. Ayan. Ang karapatang paghahanap ng kaligayahan, ng karapatan nating pabuhay ng walang diskriminasyon, at karapatang kontrolin kung ano ang nangyayari sa pagpapasya para sa ating sarili. Legal rights. Legal rights are those rights which are accepted and enforced by the state. Any defilement of any legal rights is punished by the law. Ang karapatang legal ay ang isang karapatan na tinatanggap at pinapatupad ng Estado. At ang anumang karumihan sa anumang legal na karapatan ay pinaparusahan ng batas. Law courts of the state enforce legal rights. These are rights can be enforced against individuals and also against the government. In this way, legal rights are different from the moral rights. Ayan, ang mga karapatan ng batas sa Estado ay nagpapatupad ng mga karapatang legal. Ang mga karapatang ito ay maaring pinapatupad laban sa mga individual at laban din sa mga gobyerno. Sa ganitong pamamaraan, ang legal na karapatan ay naiiba talaga sa karapatan ng moral. If people have a moral right not to be sexually harassed, then that the right is not defeated by the fact that people are constantly being sexually harassed. I prefer to think of this way. The existence of moral right is a good reason for us to make a serious effort to make it come true. It's only one reason, and it might be unweighed by practical reason we can't make come true, but it's power reason to try. Sa ganitong pamamaraan, ang pagkakaroon ng isang karapatang moral ay isang magandang dahilan para gumawa tayo ng isang seryosong pagsusumikap upang ito ay magkatotoo. Ito ay isa lamang kadahilanan kung bakit hindi natin ito masakutuparan sa dahilan upang subukan natin ang mga gawain para sa ating karapatan.
Utilitarianism.
This is Christine Ritual and my assigned topic is utilitarianism, origins and nature of its theory. The word utilitarianism is the idea that the moral worth of an action is solely determined by its contribution to overall utility in maximizing happiness or pleasure as summed among all people. It is a theory of morality which advocates actions that foster happiness and opposed actions that cause unhappiness. The nature of utilitarianism is an effort to provide an answer to the practical question, what ought a person to do? The answer is that a person ought to do acts so as to maximize happiness or pleasure and to minimize unhappiness or pain. The origins of utilitarianism are often traced back to the Epicureanism of the followers of the Greek philosopher Epicurus. It can be argued David Hume and Edmund Burke were proto-utilitarians, but a specific school of thought is generally credited to the English philosopher Jeremy Bentham. Jeremy Bentham, from the founders of utilitarianism, described his greater happiness principle in Introduction to the Principles of Moral and Legislation, a 1789 publication in which he writes, "Nature has placed mankind under the governance of two sovereign masters, pain and pleasure. It is for them alone to point out what we ought to do as well as to determine what shall do. When individuals are deciding what to do for themselves alone, they consider only their own utility. For example, if you are choosing ice cream for yourself, the utilitarian view is that you should choose the flavor that will give you the most pleasure.
So good morning, ma'am. Good morning, classmates. My name is Eliza Ramos from VSH Ramuan-1, and I am going to report business fascination with utilitarianism. So what is business fascination with utilitarianism? If this holds the most ethical choice is the one that will produce the greatest good for the greatest number. So paano daw, ang utilitarianism daw po is nagpo-produce ng ethical choice or ethical goods kung ito ay nag-result ng greatest good for the greatest number of people. And karaniwang ginagamit din ito sa, nagpo-provide din siya ng moral framework sa military force or war. So, nagpo-provide din siya ng guiding framework sa business sa paraan na stable naman yung kita nyo, stable naman yung result ng business nyo, and yet nakakapag-provide pa rin kayo ng benefits sa maraming tao. And at the same time, kayo din mismo, yung business nyo mismo nagbe-benefit din kayo doon sa mga tao. So, dito pumapasok yung utilitarianism dahil, ayun nga, bukod sa nabe-benefit kayo, nabe-benefit sila, nag-provide to ng greatest good for the greatest number of people dahil dun sa mga customers ninyo. So, there are two types of utilitarianism in business. These are rule utilitarianism and act utilitarianism. What is rule utilitarianism? It helps the largest number of people using the fairest method possible. So, paano nga po ba nagagamit ang rule utilitarianism sa business? Ang example po nito ay business na nag-o-offer ng service or product with different types of people. For example, in airline industry, meron po sa airline industry, meron pong dalawang in-offer sa pasahero. Those are first class seats and economy seats. So, sa isang plane, mas marami yung allotted seats sa economy seats kaysa sa first class seats. Bakit? Kasi mas affordable sa economy seats kaysa sa first class. Kasi nga sa first class, alam naman natin na VIP doon and mahal siya. Lumalabas doon yung view ng utilitarianism because nag-provide siya ng greatest good for the greatest number of people. Kung kayo yung tatanungin, saan nyo mas gusto? Doon sa mahal or doon sa mas mura na okay naman yung offer and makakarating ka din naman ng okay sa pupuntahan. So, ang padalawa is ang act utilitarianism. Makes the most ethical actions possible for the benefit of the people. So, an example of act utilitarianism could be when pharmaceutical companies release drugs that have been governmentally approved but with known minor side effects because the drug is able to help more people that are bothered by the side effects. Act utilitarianism often demonstrate the concept that the end justifies the means or it's worth it. So, ang ibig sabihin po nito is, so dito pumapasok nga yung pharmaceutical companies. Bakit? Diba, minsan ang ating government nag-offer sila ng gamot which is libre kasi nga it is governmentally approved. And minsan nga 'di ba, mas namimigay sila ng libreng gamot. So halimbawa, kung may sakit ka and hindi mo naman afford yung mamahaling gamot, and di ba mas pipiliin mo yung governmentally approved kasi nga minsan binibigay siya ng libre or mas murang halaga. So pumapasok dito yung utilitarianism kasi mas maraming pumipili dun sa governmentally approved kasi nga, yun nga, mas mura, mas maraming nakikinabang, mas maraming nagbe-benefit kasi nga, mapapagaling sila nito ng libre, hindi katulad dun sa ibang gamot na bibili ka pa and same effect lang din naman. And pumapasok dito yung the end justifies the means. Bakit? Kasi, halimbawa nga, may isang gamot na governmentally approved. So, mas tinake mo yon kasi nga, mas mura and mas affordable. However, meron itong side effects sa'yo. So, doon lalabas yung end justifies the means because yung means mo doon is, yun nga, tinake mo yung drugs na yon kahit na alam mo pwedeng may side effects sa'yo or worse, pwedeng lumala yung sakit mo. Kasi nga, napanear ka doon sa end mo. Kasi nga, syempre, alam mong may sakit ka and hindi naging compatible sa'yo yung gamot kasi nga, pwede siyang may side effect na hindi naman ano sa'yo. Yun, doon lumalabas yung and justifies the means. So, papasok naman dito yung at it worked kasi kung halimbawa nga, naging mas maganda naman naging okay naman sa'yo yung side effect, para naging compatible naman sa'yo yung side effect ng drugs. Naging worth it yung pag-inom mo kasi nga, bukod sa affordable, napagaling pa yung sakit mo. Yun nga, yung dalawa lang na yun, justifies the means or at worth. And yun lang po, maraming salamat.
Justice and fairness, promoting the common good.
Hi, I'm Ana Maris Manilili at ang topic ko po ay the nature of the theory. So, ayon po sa ibinigay na pahayag ni John Rawls sa kanyang theory of justice, ang hustisya ay dapat maunawaan ng bawat tao bilang pagiging patas upang makamit ang isang makatarungang lipunan. Ang isang lipunang makatarungan ay may pantay na karapatan at kalayaan ang bawat mamamayan. May karapatan sila na makamit ang mga oportunidad na maibibigay sa kanila at oportunidad na nais nilang makamit. Maging bata man sila o matanda, babae ka man o lalaki. Ang isang makatarungang lipunan, ayon din sa kanya, ay mayroong mga institusyong nagbibigay proteksyon sa karapatan at kalayaan ng bawat individual. Ang teoryang ito ni Rawls ay naghahangad na mawakasan ang mga issue patungkol sa moralidad at diskriminasyon.
I am Erjan Lopez and I will discuss distributive justice. Distributive justice refers to the extent to which societies, institutions ensure that benefits and burdens are distributed among society's members in a way that fair and just. So, ang distributive justice ay ang pagbibigay ng pantay-pantay na benepisyo sa bawat membro ng society. Halimbawa, sa isang kumpanya, kapag ang empleyado ay pantay-pantay na binibigyan ng mga benepisyo, matatawag natin itong distributive justice. Part of being member of a modern society is accepting that all goods will be distributed through society by some means. It is a concept that addresses the ownership of goods in a society. It assumes that there is a large amount of fairness in the distribution of goods. So, sa distributive justice, dapat lahat ay meron. Dapat lahat pantay-pantay. Equal work should provide individuals with an equal outcomes in terms of goods acquired or the ability to acquire goods. Distributive justice is absent when equal work does not produce equal outcomes or when an individual or a group acquires a disproportionate amount of goods. So, halimbawa, sa panghalimbawa ng distributive justice, kapag nagtrabaho ka, dapat pantay rin dun sa pinagtatrabahuhan mo yung iyong sweldo. In this lesson, there are two principles, equality and proportionality. So, equality. Equality of outcome is more relative. It does not guarantee that all members of society will receive the same number of goods. It does guarantee that equal work will produce an equal amount of goods. So, equality affects two areas of distributive justice, opportunities and outcomes. Equality of opportunity is found when all members of society are allowed to participate in acquiring goods. No one is blocked from acquiring more goods. Acquiring more goods would be a sole function of will, not because of any social or political reason. So, sa equality, dapat lahat meron. Dapat lahat kayo pantay-pantay. Hindi yung merong isang may iwan. Dapat lahat meron. Halimbawa, sa pagbibigay ng mga relief goods, dapat pantay-pantay at lahat ay mabibigyan. Isa pang halimbawa is, a good way to think equality is that it establishes an equal floor more than an equal ceiling. Everyone needs a certain number of goods to survive. Equality ensures that every member of society has a basic number of goods, regardless of how work they have done. If this floor is is established and there are no limits to the ability of one to acquire goods except for his or her own will, then distributive justice can be said to be present. So another is proportionality. Proportionality is the most relative of the three principles. Proportionality loses its power when one compares different types of works. Proportionality is similar to the equality of outcome. It is based around the idea that equal work produces equal outcomes. It is found more often in relative circumstances. If two workers perform the exact same job for the exact same length of time, then if distributive justice is at play, both workers will be able to acquire the same amount of goods. So halimbawa ulit sa isang kumpanya, kapag marami kayo nagtatrabaho, dapat pantay-pantay kayo ng pagpasok at pagpasok ng oras ng inyong mga trabaho. So, pantay-pantay rin ang inyong makukuha ang sahod. So, yun lamang.
Good morning everyone, my name is Mark Brian Morante and my topic is all about egalitarianism. So what is egalitarianism? A philosophical perspective that emphasizes equality and equal treatment across gender, religion, economic status, and political beliefs. Egalitarianism may focus on income inequality and distribution, which are the ideas that influence the development of various economic and political systems. Egalitarianism also looks at how individuals are treated under the law. Karl Marx used egalitarianism as the starting point in the creation of his Marxist philosophy, and John Locke considered egalitarianism when he proposed that individual had natural rights. Egalitarianism is from the word French égal, which means equal. So egalitarianism focuses on having and giving unequal rights for everyone. It includes gender, religion, economic status, and political beliefs. Up until this day, we are having egalitarianism. Equal rights should be given to every person here in this world because we deserve it. And if we have egalitarianism which gives us equality for if we have an egalitarianism that is fair and having unequal rights so that we could be united and support each other's beliefs through using egalitarianism in the right way.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Alex Naling. Socialist, the state and citizen, the responsibilities to each other. Dito natin malalaman kung ano ba yung responsibilities ng dalawa, which is state and citizen. So when it comes to state, the responsibilities is to have the legal obligation na kung saan pinoprotektahan ang karapatan natin bilang isang tao o karapatang pantao. At dito binibigyan tayo ng seguridad at kaligtasan and to ensure that all people can realize their rights without discrimination. Tulad dito sa bansa natin, sa Pilipinas, we have our laws, we have our rules and regulation na kailangan nating sundin. While the responsibility of the citizen, which is tayo yon, is to support the needs of all sa pamamagitan ng pagbabayad ng taxes tulad ng pagbayad sa bahay, pagbayad sa lupa, at sa kung ano-ano pang ari-arian natin. And the main responsibility of the citizen is to obey the law para sa kapayapaan at kaligtasan natin bilang naninirahan sa bansa. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Alex Naling. If you can see, there are 4 principles of taxation by Adam Smith, which are fairness, certainty, convenience, and efficiency. So from the word fairness, it's pagiging patas. Sa pagbabayad ng buwis, dapat tugma sa mga kondisyon ng mga nagbabayad ng buwis. Hindi ka naman pwedeng magbayad ng buwis ng mas mataas pa sa iyong sweldo. At dapat, kung ano yung pinag-usapan at pinagkasunduan ninyo, yun dapat ang susundin o gagawin. Next is certainty. Should means that taxpayer are clearly informed about why and how taxes are levied. Dapat malinaw sa nagbabayad ng buwis ang tungkol sa kung paano ipinapataw ang mga buwis. Hindi naman siguro tayo magbabayad ng buwan-buwan ng mga buwis kung hindi naman natin alam kung para saan ito. So, we should always clearly inform. The third one is convenience. Dito naman, nag-uugnay kung gaano kadali ang pagbabayad ng buwis. Sa pagkakaalam ko, may binibigay na applications or link na doon ka na mag-sign in para makapagbayad ng buwis through social medias or through Googles or emails. The last one is efficiency. So it is basically put the administration of tax collection should not negatively affect the allocation and use it of resources in the economy and certainly should not cost more than the taxes themselves. Hindi dapat ito makakaapekto sa pinagkukunan nating kita. For example, nagpatayo tayo ng isang negosyong grocery stores at dahil doon nagbabayad tayo ng buwis. So, kung iisipin mo na ang buwis na binabayaran mo ay nasa halagang 5,000 pesos, tapos yung kinikita mo naman sa grocery store ay nasa halagang 3,000. Kaya, mas malaki yung binabayaran mong buwis kaysa sa kinikita mo. So, malaking epekto siya para sa negosyo mo at baka mauwi ito sa pagkalugi o pagkasara. Kaya, dapat hindi mas malaki ang pinagkukunan nakita kesa sa binabayarang buwis. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time and for listening. This is the end of our presentation and we are hoping that you have understood something about our topic. Stay safe and God bless.